Nathaniel Essex may have succeeded in his goal of conquering planet Earth, but was it all worth it? Well, let's hop into the pages of Immoral X-Men issue number 1, a continuation of the Sins of Sinister event, and find out together, shall we? Alrighty then, so as we join this story, we're still in the 10-year future, wherein Mister Sinister managed to not only take control of Krakoa, but kill all the major superhero teams that opposed him. Of course, there's still rebel outliers trying their best to fight the power, like this particular cell led by Nick Fury Jr. The only problem is they don't tend to last all that long. In a world where even Omega-level mutants like Charles Xavier have become thralls of Mister Sinister. Chuck actually gets this poor group of schmucks to walk out an open window, ending their rebellion before it even really got to start. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. Sinister may very well rule the Earth, and the Krakoan Quiet Council are sinister, but they're also still themselves, just a little bit. Like, for one, Charles killed those guys completely cold and effectively, but at the same time he feels bad about it, but also moralizes that it was for the greater good at the end of the day, not unlike what the real Xavier's been doing in this series. Similarly, the sinister spliced Emma Frost also still continues to scheme and build her own power behind the scenes. In fact, the longer this dark timeline goes on, the more things feel like a truly tailor-made personal hell for Mister Sinister himself. Yeah, he rules the world, yeah, he's killed his enemies, but he also still has to share power with himself and take boring meetings with the council wherein everyone talks back to him. He can't even get a good hot cup of traditional English-style tea, and if that wasn't good enough, this brand new empire that Sinister has built was never meant to be sustainable. Oh sure, the Sinisters have grown at a good rate, won many battles, but it's only a matter of time before the greater galactic community comes and punishes Earth for its transgressions. You know how it goes, first a proxy war funded by one of the bigger players, then eventually a full-out war with one of the other space empires, be it the Shi'ar or the Kree-Skrull Union. And honestly, Sinister thinks he doesn't have the firepower to win that fight. Meaning that if he's not careful, he's gonna end up losing everything that he's built. Worse still, with his lab missing and his Moira clones gone. He can't use his special chronal save points to start over and try again. Sinister ends up spilling his guts to yet another Sinister clone, this one he calls Duck. As in, psychiatrists say that you should talk your problems out loud to a duck, knowing full well that it won't tell your secrets, but Sinister doesn't trust ducks, nor does he feel comfortable cloning one. But he of course loves himself enough and loves to hear himself talk, so he creates a clone to talk things out with, even though creating clones of himself is literally what got him into this problem in the first place. Seriously, is Nathaniel Essex's answer to everything just clones? I bet he has a tax-doing clone, an ass-wiping clone, a clone whose job it is just to run his social media. Honestly, I would love one of those personally. One of the other things Mister Sinister has too is a universal kill switch. One which when flipped will kill all the clones. This would solve most of Sinister's problems, but again it would basically destroy all of his good work and keep him trapped in this timeline. Also, as the Duck brings up, is Sinister even 100% certain that he's the real Sinister anymore and not just a clone who forgot? None of this really matters though, because get this, the kill switch was in his original lab with all the Moiras, meaning he couldn't use it if he wanted, and he really has to hope that whoever took the lab doesn't know how to use the kill switch. So with very few other options left, it looks like Mister Sinister is going to have to do this the old-fashioned way, knock off his competition on the Quiet Council until he's once again Sinister numero uno. Only one problem with that, and that is that this brand new generation of Sinister clones weren't clone dumb, and they assumed that something like this would happen eventually, like Sinister Emma, who, in a lovely callback from Gillen's own Immortal X-Men series, says that she sleeps in her diamond form a lot these days. In fact, the only reason Sinister didn't catch on to that sooner is because Emma also keeps Mastermind close at hand on a steady drip of amphetamines to keep him up all night and trick anyone who may be looking in on her. Okay, that is definitely the Sinister in her talking. My favorite part is that Mastermind doesn't even seem to mind that much, like he's totally into it. With this newest failure blowing up in his face, Mister Sinister has no choice but retreat back to his secondary lab, one that just so happens to be in upstate New York, probably either near or in the old X-Mansion. Because Essex is nothing if not a huge fan of tradition. In fact, in another one of the appendix pages, they talk about at least 10 other places that Sinister could have run off to, and where other Quiet Council members go to look, but it doesn't matter because Emma managed to read his mind just fast enough to know where he was going to lay low. Sinister thinks he has the White Queen cornered with a brand new gun created solely to break diamonds. Which, if this was the old Emma, that might very well have worked, but this is Sinister Emma, who is already thinking several moves ahead and has decided to upgrade herself using the brand new Chimera mutant tech. She helped herself to a little Wolverine DNA, and with that, she now has a healing factor on top of being an incredibly powerful psychic who is also unpenetrable. That might have been a bust, but Sinister has another ace up his sleeve, brand new Chimera-ized versions of the Nasty Boys, his most original henchmen, this time cut with a little Cyclops DNA. Emma is not amused by this newest revelation, saying that she has the real Scott wrapped around her finger at the best of times. You really think these cheap knockoffs can do anything that would surprise her? With his back truly against the wall and no more dirty tricks to play, Sinister is forced to grovel and do the other thing that he's a master at on top of cloning. I'm of course talking about bribery. Essex says that he can't be killed because he is very necessary for the continued growth and safety of Krakoa. He has the plans and the technology to make the next great generation of Chimera mutants. Not just 2 powers, not just 3 powers, but at least 5 powers to a person. Sinister thinks Emma would be a perfect candidate for this procedure, and they're going to need all the mutant super weapons they can get their hands on if they ever hope to survive the coming alien invasion. And this gambit ends up working. Sinister manages to save his skin for another day, but it would seem that this brand new dystopian hellscape sucks for everyone, including him. And so that was Immoral X-Men issue number 1, and I gotta say, I really do love what they're doing here in Sins of Sinister. This issue from Gillen especially does a great job turning the story back on Essex himself, and we get to see this brand new world order through his eyes. There's just something so wonderful about a character who got everything they wanted, but not in the way they wanted, and now they truly hate it. There's also some beautiful symmetrical irony going on here with the founders of Krakoa coming to Sinister for help with the resurrection protocols, knowing full well they couldn't trust him and that one day he would turn on them. And he totally did, and now here in the Sins of Sinister future, Sinister has to basically go to the founders of Krakoa hat in hand and promise them more technological Chimera advancements, if only to save his own skin, knowing full well that they are like him now and will almost certainly turn against him and try and kill him at some point. Mr. Sinister's greatest enemy truly is Mr. Sinister at the end of the day. And the more he twists himself into knots, the more uncomfortable and in pain he is, the more fun I really have with the story. Once again, I also gotta take my hat off to the telling of Sins of Sinister. You could read any of these tie-in series individually and have a great time, but if you read them all together, you really get the best, fullest picture of what's going on, and I love it when stories are interconnected like this. Overall, I'd give this one another very strong 8 out of 10. I hope they're all as good as this.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cave Jewel, and if you're seeing me right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, which I am very appreciative of. It really helps drive engagement and retention and all that other good YouTube stuff. So does liking and commenting. Wink wink. If you like my content too, you should check out my Patreon page. We just redid all the tiers, so there's a ton of great rewards. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and well, it would just really help me out. It's never expected, but always appreciated. So until next time everyone, I've been Cape Joel, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.